My name is Stuart Ross. I'm a poet in Toronto, and I'm doing these readings for a really interesting program in British Columbia called Poetry Rocks. And I'm going to be talking to these students from all across British Columbia online later this week in some really complicated technical thing that I didn't understand, but they're going to be watching these videos first. This poem is called The Shopping Mall. At night, a shopping mall is cold and sad. It flattens itself, crawls across the empty expanse of its parking lot, squeezes under a gleaming archway that says shop and be happy. Soon it is inching along the road. It has forgotten its loneliness. In the glare of the street lamps, the mall is indistinguishable from the pavement. The telephone wires don't give it away. They sway in the crisp air, mutter amongst themselves. The fire hydrants are silent, and so are the mailboxes. Stray dogs sniff at the creeping mall, then bound off, paws ripping lawns, shrill yaps cracking the thick clouds above. Torrents of rain begin to fall, and the mall becomes frightened. It crawls up to a house, and through an open window. It is in a small room. It recognizes the posters on the wall from its record shop, and the books on the shelf from its bookshop, and the carpet from its wholesale carpet outlet, and the dresser and desk and bed from its furniture store, and the lamp on the desk from its lighting store, and the boy in the bed from its video arcade. The shopping mall creeps up onto the bed and wraps itself around the boy's chin, clinging tight to the smooth face. In the morning, the boy's parents are astonished when he comes to breakfast. "You are not yet 7, but you have a beard," says the father, and they lock him in his room. Pilgrims come from around the world to see the bearded boy. His eyes are wide, he wants to shave, he is blessed by the Pope and by movie stars, by hockey players and famous models. The steady stream of people passing by his bed day and night becomes overwhelming. The boy is cold and sad. A policeman looks at the calendar. The mall went missing the day the bearded boy appeared. He hauls the child out of bed and drags him to the cruiser. The boy is excited. He asks the officer to turn on the siren. He asks the officer to make the red lights flash. They speed through sleeping streets, then across an empty parking lot surrounding a vast, dark chasm. "I remember this place," says the boy. "I know I've been here before." The policeman places the child in the center of the emptiness and takes a few steps back. The boy tugs at his beard, writhes and wrestles, thrashes his arms and legs. The beard is so tight he can barely breathe. He lies down exhausted and falls asleep. A car pulls into the parking lot, and then another. The officer begins directing traffic. Soon the boy is teeming with shoppers. "Where's the cinema?" they ask. "Where's the Mexican restaurant?" Shopping at the boy is not as convenient, but humans are clever and patient. They have weathered many changes. They are strong. They adapt. Song. He carried the piano up the stairs. He carried the piano down the stairs. He carried the piano up the stairs. He carried the piano down the stairs. He sat down and drank a beer. A bird smacked into his window. His telephone didn't stop ringing. The piano was heavy. He wondered how he would get it up the stairs. A guy, some flippers, a building. He got his flippers on, and it made him go swimming. It was tough, but he kept on swimming. Then he saw the water was pavement, and he remembered his grandpa's words. Pavement is the hard one. You don't need your flippers for it. He racked his brains to recall what don't meant. And meanwhile, he bumped his head on a building. A building's a square thing with a hole inside, where people live or maybe work. Inside the building that bumped his head, a woman made copies of a sheet of paper with writing on it. And while she made copies, she thought about a river and the way she could float on her back, on top of it, on the part where it met the air. Above, the sky was crammed with clouds. A bird was a dark thing in it. So here we are at the St. Rosedale Library in Kensington Market in Toronto. It's the best bookstore. Canada. When we met. When we met, the sky had taken a cigarette break, and the clouds, caught off guard, were flailing, panicked. When we met, balled-up newspaper pages were blowing through the empty streets, and car alarms were howling in the distance, or perhaps those were dogs. When we met, somewhere was invading somewhere else, and everywhere else objected, but it did no good. The protestations did no good. When we met, poodles sported 4 legs, just as they had before and just as they do now. 4 legs for every poodle. When we met, you wore a shroud of purple smoke. I wore the golf shirt my father was buried in. When we met, the newscaster on the television above the bar began to speak a language that neither of us recognized. When we met, I was crying. When we met, a banker was trapped beneath the wheels of a truck filled with toothpaste. He was writing a note to his wife. When we met, we were both reading the same book, a novel by Javier Cercas that featured Roberto Bolaño as a fictional character. You were 5 pages ahead of me. My copy was in translation. When we met, we counted the eyes between us, your eyes, my eyes, and the eye on the potato that I was holding. When we met, a circus was being dismantled in a nearby field. The elephant had died before the grand opening. When we met, hula hoops were the latest sensation, then flying saucers, then the cosmetic addition of a third shoulder. When we met, a forklift crashed through the wall of a church. When we met, we agreed that we had never met before.